Games, especially RPGs, are all about putting you in the fantasy of something much greater than reality. In Dragon's Dogma, you're someone who can slay dragons. In Fallout, you're in charge of some of the most important decisions in its world, and in Monster Hunter, you are capable of defeating beasts any regular human would lose to in seconds. All these games are meant to give you a sense of power and control you don't really have in the real world. Yet all of these games have something in common. Not only do you start incredibly weak, but it takes a significant amount of time to get to the point in which the true power fantasy of the game begins. And why is this? Why not start off as a mighty warrior capable of slaying dragons? Why not start out as an important member of a major faction? And why not start out as a powerful hunter? Well, the reason is simple. It's because one does not simply wake up and kill a dragon. Think about it seriously. How are you going to immerse yourself in the experience of defeating such a large beast or making such important decisions if you have no memory of what it took to get there? What you were doing before that grand event, whether it be picking up herbs, slaying some goblins, or dying to a fucking Deathclaw. That time spent being weak and meaningless is what makes these grand moments so incredible. And moving away from RPGs like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, focusing more on action games like Monster Hunter and Dragon's Dogma, it's also the fact that the mechanics of these big fights are the same as the mechanics you use in the smaller fights at the beginning of the game. At the start of Iceborne, you're wallbanging a reskinned Tobi Kadashi, and by the end, you're wallbanging a massive monster covered in stone into a massive stone wall, causing rocks to fall all over its head. It's the same mechanic, the same execution, just made so much more epic. There's a reason this feels so much more grand and impactful than this. It's all about the build-up and about creating a personal character arc for the player. It's been 5 years since I properly got into Monster Hunter, and I still remember my first fight against the Great Jagras. It's a pretty basic, small fight when I look at it now, but I remember the countless gathering quests and just how much I had to learn about the game to finally understand how to progress, how to get to my first hunt. That build-up, that experience made the Great Jagras fight so much more memorable and epic to me than it should be. So with all this said, am I claiming that all RPGs should have a slow start? No, not at all. I think the cart escort quest in Dragon's Dogma is incredibly boring and makes replays a slog at the beginning. The excessive amount of busy work Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate makes you do before actually being able to start the village quest properly is extremely tedious and unnecessarily time-consuming, and the fucking baby simulator segment of Fallout 3 is pretty much universally hated. So if I admit the beginnings of these games are boring, why am I making this video? Well, I'm making this video to tell you to give all these games with slow, boring starts a chance. It's easy to pick up a game, especially an RPG, and immediately want to go at our own pace. You might immediately start with the multiplayer intended hub quest in Monster Hunter out of desperation. You might enter the first random dungeon in Dragon's Dogma and start exploring the whole world without doing the main quest and realizing there's 6 whole classes other than the 3 starting ones. Or you might end up suicidal after the first 2 minutes of baby gameplay in Fallout 3. But let these games take their course. Sure, it might be boring, it might be tedious, but if you give them a chance, if you let these games guide you and you listen to the game's advice, you might end up coming across one of your favorite games of all time. You know what probably won't be one of your favorite games of all time? Sonic Frontiers. And if you want to learn more about that, you can do so by clicking this video right here.